Hey everyone, this is Erin Ashley Simon.
This is Brandon Killabh.
And of course, another episode of Grassroots Podcast. We are going to get deep into culture, some really dope stuff. This is our 50th episode.
50.
Damn.
Where did the time go, man?
It passed by real fast. Real fast.
It was just like yesterday. I feel like all those types of stories happen like that.
It really does. But it's crazy though. Like when we really sit back and just look at everything that we've done for our podcast, like Brandon, like I don't know how we got some of this stuff. Like I'm just like, dang, we got this under the 50th episode.
Yeah. We've been blessed. We've really been blessed when I really think about it. Not to be too deep and profound and all of that shit, but we really have been. We've made some really groundbreaking work in a really short time. You know, we've been blessed to have on some amazing guests. We now have an amazing team, amazing support group with, you know, our GroupMe and a lot of the people that support the podcast and support what we are doing. Like it's pretty dope. So
and you know what? It's really cool that all this is basically happening and like everything's starting to line. But if you think about it, the work that we did individually with our careers is the reason why we were able to really have this podcast pushing, you know? A lot of, for some people that listen to this podcast, they probably think that like we're novice and we're new to so many things. I mean, we're new to podcasts, but we're not new to the music and media world. Like Brandon and I have been working in the entertainment industry for like over 10 years.
10 years strong, man.
Man, that makes me feel old, man.
Word. I'm definitely old. I just said that. I'm the oldest person in the room, man. It's over for me. I'm just waiting for my pension. It's over.
Oh, man. But one of the things that we really want to talk about, kind of pertaining to like our story, and we thought, why not talk about this on the 50th episode? It lines perfectly, actually.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Royce, the 5'9", he dropped this song called Dumb. Interestingly enough, if you were a fan of our podcast before, we actually shared a snippet of one of Royce's songs. Was it Dumb that we shared?
It was Dumb.
And y'all don't know how much we went through to get that. My gosh.
Listen, for the new listeners, welcome. Thank you for coming aboard. For the old people that have been riding the stream with us, is that pause? Is that a pause? No, it's not a pause. So yeah, if you've been riding this out with us, it took a lot to get that Royce stuff done. And not because of Royce, obviously, just obviously because of politics and us just getting out to Detroit. You know, we all chipped in and rented hotel rooms, and you know, Jeff helped us with the hotel rooms.
Yeah,
and we hiked it up, went through a storm and all types of crazy shit.
Like went to some really like racist ass area in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
This guy like went up to us and was like, "Oh, you guys are out of town." We're like, "Oh, really? Well, how do you know?" Basically, he was saying that because we're black, he could tell that we were from out of town. Yeah. And when we were going in to get food, like everybody was looking at us. Like
it was weird.
What? It was so weird, uncomfortable, and didn't someone talk about a gun or something? I was just
it was crazy. And then it came time to record, and we originally recorded the episode, and then Royce had a candle that crackled. It made noise. He said he needed it, you know, to record and just to have some noise going rather, and it came up in the audio. Hence, that was the first time we'd done a mobile podcast, and we were like, "Oh, this episode's gonna be great." And I'm listening to it in the headphones. I'm like, "Yo, this is fucked up." So Royce, you know, thankfully enough, he freaking canceled his session that he had that day. He then, you know, had his engineer work with us and help us at least make the audio listenable, and then. Wayne then helped more with the audio and trying to just make sure it sounded good, obviously, for your listening and pleasure.
Yo, dead ass. I felt like a rapper during that time. Like, we literally, they replayed our vocals, and then we had to say those vocals again, and we had to say it in certain ways, and Yo, I damn near felt like I was a rapper. I was like, yo, so this is how it feels. I'm not dropping bars though. Listen.
Erin was definitely ready to drop bars. Let me be clear. I had to talk her out of the booth and walk her back to where to get the work done. She was definitely ready to drop bars. I mean, for me, it was exciting just because of Royce's. He's family, and I always nag him about music. You know, I've been a Royce fan for God knows how long, and I always, he's always generous enough to send me music beforehand, and that was originally kind of the goal. And then he invited us to the studio to actually listen and get a first listener's ear to the music. And lo and behold, the record that he just released, Dumb, is one of the records that he played for us. And we just kept hearing this record like, oh my God, this record is insane. Is it possible to get something from the new album? I mean, can we hear something?
Yeah, you can hear something. Yeah, why not?
Well, hold on.
I like playing music.
All right, so this is Royce the 5'9" off the Book of Ryan, coming soon. Check it out.
I'm no longer a prospect. I'm what you call a veteran legend, man. I'm a prophet.
All right. That's it. This is an early access preview. Under normal circumstances, this type of shit don't happen. So I'm taking what I can get, especially because Keno put the clamps on all of this, and we had to cut it. So thanks, Keno.
Fuck you, Keno.
And then we had to fight with Shady. But we got it done though. So thank the good people over at Shady. Thank you, Keno and Royce, of course, obviously. Cause
all of them. It was great. Yo, the highlight of my day/night, because we were there for a long time. Like I was struggling driving back home.
Yeah.
We were so tired, we didn't sleep. It was crazy. But the highlight was like his studio. For those who've never been in Royce's studio, it's literally, you can record in any room of that studio. Like you can even record in the bathroom if you wanted to. Like that's crazy.
I understand why now. Yeah. Anytime I've called or tried to get in contact with him, he's like, I'm in the studio. You could legitimately live in his studio. Like as soon as you walk into the entrance of the studio, it's a recording room. You walk into the bathroom, it's a recording room.
And
you
the living room area,
the living room,
for the acoustics of instruments. Like, that was wild.
It's a crazy thing. Perfect name for the studio, Heaven. That's why I named it Heaven. It's definitely Heaven. So I'm really excited for this project. I haven't nagged him about it yet, but just because I want to have my fan moment and really take it in.
Well, and also, I'm really excited because like we didn't even listen to just one song, everyone. Like he played us several, and it was like fire after fire after fire, and I was like, I was just blown away. Like, and we don't even know if some of those tracks are going to even make it, or if we don't even know what other singles he made after that. So like, it was just an awesome experience, and we're gonna be showing clips of when we visited too. Later on, we're gonna we'll show a snippet right now, but you're gonna see the rest later.
Yeah, we'll show that. It's just crazy though. Just to see his growth. I think this is probably, and I think for him too, it's probably one of his most important bodies of work that he's about to drop. Just for the simple fact of what he's done to get to this point, and also the amount of time he's put into making this album. I'm really, really excited for it. I'm
curious to, I mean, hopefully one day I'm able to ask him, but I remember like when he was doing the podcast with us, he was talking about how when he became sober, he was afraid of like his penmanship and just creativity and how that would be affected. And I kind of want to ask him, like, since going sober, like, was it like 5 years ago about, what have you noticed in terms of your penmanship and your creativity and just every aspect of creating a song? Like, how has it progressed? Or do you feel like there are certain parts where you stumbled a bit, or like how, because I just thought that was interesting how during a time where, you know, addiction is such a big thing in hip hop, and he was saying like, you know, although he knew he had to get right for his kids, he was afraid of losing like one of the most important things.
It's definitely a struggle when you have vices and shit like that. And to see him come out on top of it, you know what I mean? And I wonder if it's ever sat in with him as well. Like, yo, like I really overcame this, and I'm now probably at the height of my career, mentally, you know, financially, and now writing wise. Like I'm sound. Yeah. So shout out to Royce, man. Yeah. Shout out to Royce.
Big shout out.
Yeah.
It was episode 2, right?
And episode.
I think it's episode 2 or 3.
I don't know. We're at 50. I mean, we got.
I don't know, guys.
It's a lot of numbers. You know what I mean? A lot of numbers. I don't know.
Now we semi-wash. We don't remember. We don't remember what episode. We're on like 2, 3.
Word.
One of those.
I see why people get confused with their numbers once you start to get up there, though. Like,
because so much happens.
So much happens. So many moments. So many things transpire where you genuinely lose track of what number you're on. I get it. Yeah. So it's a good episode, though. But oh man. In later news, I always wanted to say that, by the way. When you watch news and say, in later news, man was shot by driving. But I always wanted to do that. So anywho,
Teddy, who's on the scene? Teddy, tell us what's happening.
Word. So Joe Budden announces new YouTube series. He's had the first episode dropped this past Saturday, and that was with Charlemagne, Wayno,
and Casanova.
Am
I missing anyone else?
I don't think so. If we are, sorry.
Sorry. Be real graphic.
Yeah. It looks very interesting. It's from what I'm hearing, it was a panel type of discussion that I guess I'm assuming drops every Saturday, I think, or something like that.
Do you think it's gonna be every week or like bi-weekly? Because they still have the podcast, and I know like was it the past week they were having some personal stuff and they had to delay it or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's actually a good question. I wonder. The challenge, at least for my brain, is how do you balance this content now? You cover so much on your podcast, and your podcast is 7 hours long, and now you have a show. Or panel or show and panel both, where you're now talking about topics and things of that nature or nostalgic moments, whatever may have you. So I wonder what that's going to be like and how that transition is going to be.
Theory time. Joe's creating his own network. Think so? I feel like he's creating his own network. He created this podcast. It's been building. Now it's consistent. It's at a point where I mean, within the music entertainment field, it's the #1 podcast, like, at this point. Or at least in the top 3 for certain people, because I'm not trying to have, the trolls come at me like, and I feel like he's creating this another one. He's creating this other panel. He obviously created this because he saw, like with his previous creation, Everyday Struggle, and how that operated. He saw how that went when it became with like panel discussions or having multiple people talk about the culture. So it's kind of like now that he left, the pull up is that panel discussion kind of concept that already is shown that it works, you know? But I really thought it was interesting the people that he had. He had obviously Charlemagne.
Smart.
Which is smart, and it makes sense because they did a piece with Revolt, and that was like a really, like, the piece went really well with those two.
Did numbers.
It did numbers. And then obviously Wayno, and Wayno was interesting because Wayno's was on Everyday Struggle. So I'm always curious about, like, okay, so what's really going on with over at Complex then if Wayno's coming over here, because we don't know if it's going to be like they're on all the time or
Well, the other thing too is what's interesting to me, while all of these people in this panel are creatives in their own realm, they're still all coming together, kind of forming Voltron and making this one big creation in a sense. Yeah. So I'm wondering as well, like, how does that work? I'm assuming a lot of egos and shit like that got to be put to the side too.
Well, I feel like, I mean, okay, so I don't know when it comes to Casanova or Wayno, but like Joe, Charlemagne, and even Wayno, I think they see what's going on when it comes to media companies. Like, You know, in certain media companies, there are people who don't even understand the culture, and they're the ones that are driving discussions or content dealing with culture. And that's such a disconnect. And I think maybe with their experiences, they see that. So now you have people who are in the culture driving the discussion of culture and have more of a hold and more of an influence when it comes to those conversations. That's way more powerful than someone who has no idea and just has money. Because the person who has no idea and has the money is always going to seek the person who does to make more money off of them. I think those guys and those, you know, whether it's those guys, Joe, Charlamagne Joe, all of them, who knows? I think they're starting to understand how much power is in the hands of creatives. And the power that's in the hands of not just creatives in the sense of like rappers or anything, but creatives even in the sense of like media people who are developing their own platforms and their own foundations outside of what they do and still having an influence outside of their company. And they're like, yo, we work for this said company, we work for this company, but damn, like, look how much we are getting and doing with our individually and collectively. It's kind of a point where it's like creatives are going to eventually they're not going to need these big platforms. These big platforms are going to be needing them badly.
Another thing to look at too, though, to your point, is they're all independent, essentially. Like they're independently now creating content. So it's genius. I think and I don't know if these people are going to be on the entire time. I don't know if, you know, what's happening, but for the most part, it appears like this is going to be something much bigger than just a content dump. There's obviously a meaning behind this and a goal behind this. So I'm interested to kind of see where this goes, and especially with all of the minds. I love the topics. I love, you know, just pretty much the concept overall of what they're looking to do.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. And to some of the YouTubers out there, no, we are not on his payroll. We're not part of this. We're not getting paid to talk about this. So just let me address that. For some reason, I don't know why people think we're on his payroll. Like, I don't understand why. Like, why can't we be independent? I don't, and I can kind of see why, because they're probably like, yo, they got meth, they got red, they got this person, that person. They have to be getting money. No, we're not making money.
Yeah, newsflash, we're not making money. We're broke.
We're not on anyone's payroll. We're not making money. We just created something that is authentic and people find dope. And these acts and their publicists and even media companies think it's dope too. Yeah. Like, we have, you know, there are people that surprise us that say they listen to our podcast, and we had no idea.
Every day it happens. Literally, we'll be walking or having dinner or some shit, and somebody will come up and just be like, wow, like, I would have never even thought. You know what I'm saying? But
that shocked me a little bit.
To your point, I could give a fuck what anybody says. Like, I really don't care when it comes to people making comments like that. Like, a lot of these people, I realize they're new fans in a sense, and not fans of us, but maybe fans of Joe or whatever. So they look at it like, oh,
we're copying.
We're copying, not knowing the relationship, not knowing my history, your history, or anything like that. So they don't know. It's more ignorant. So I don't really care. I'm gonna talk about.
Oh no. I was just throwing it out there because I remember that person. But it's crazy though, because that's kind of a good thing that when people look at the success and like what we've done, like, we don't even think that we've done that much. But when people look, but from outside looking in, people are probably like, damn, how did they get all these people before their even 25th episode? You know what I'm saying? So like, and probably think that, you know, we're getting something, you know, money wise or anything, but we're not. We just, like I said before, we worked our asses off in our individual working jobs, and people respect us. So when we came up with something that they found dope, they wanted to be a part of it. That's it.
And that was it.
That's it. We're not getting.
And to your point, even the people that have come on, they all have done something major in their field or realm. Like, everyone in our crew has done something and is contributing. So I don't know, but I think real friends support real friends, and he's definitely a friend of the show for us. He supports us immensely.
Yeah,
and we'll continue to support him. So shout out to Joe, and that's pretty much it for that.
Yeah, what if on Halloween we dress up as Joe and Nadeska? And then Brittany can be Tammy.
Word.
Waka's fiance or
we
wife.
might as well. We get called them enough for no reason. People gotta stop internet bullying. I ain't gonna lie, comment bullying. Enough is enough.
Well, I mean, yeah, they just call me Nadeska because we're light skinned.
Yeah.
They always try to find some other light skinned person to call me. Like someone called me like they're like, you look like Tinashe, you look like Beyonce, you look like, I'm like, what? Because we're light skinned? What?
I just never understand. People got a lot of time on their hands. I'm excited though. I'm excited for 2 reasons.
Wait, excited about what?
This next topic. I'm excited.
Oh.
Not about that shit.
I'm about to say, you ready for Halloween? Because I am.
No, I'm excited because for number one, let's just make some things clear. We had CyHi the Prynce on our podcast.
Yes, sir.
We were the media entity that broke the news that Kanye was going to executive produce every album on Good Music, all of his artists' album on Good Music. We broke that.
I got a project I'm doing with Ye that's all produced by him. He's doing that for every artist on the label. So Sean got one that's gonna be exactly produced by him. Push's next album is strictly produced by him. Tiana's strictly. So Kid Cudi strictly.
Nice.
Man, he does like 10 beats a day. Like you should see he got 2 ARS, whatever they call beat machines. Excuse me. All type of, like. I didn't come around that era. Like I came around. He did a little producing on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fan, but I never seen him cook it up like how he used to cook it up.
Yeah.
It's like I understand why people say they want the old. That made me.
Yeah.
I haven't understood it until the last time when I did seen him making beats. I was like,
That's crazy.
Okay, I get it. I get it. So yeah.
Do your facts. Fact check that. It's lit.
Brandon's flexing right now.
I am flexing. I'm proud of that because
No, I am proud of that too.
that was a big moment for us, considering we did break that story, number one, and a lot of media entities tried to cut our name out of that. Which I thought was...
or they misspelled.
Or misspelled.
They misspelled Grassroots. I'm like, yo, it's right there on the cover photo.
Yeah, so we broke
all right,
that,
though.
right? But more importantly, I'm happy it's coming to fruition per Kanye tweeting all of these release dates. So we have Pusha T, May 25th.
Yep.
Tiana Taylor, June 22nd. Mm-hmm. We have his album, Kanye, June 1st. And then we have a joint album with Kanye and
Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi. That is what I'm excited for.
I hope that really comes through.
Yeah, and that's the
really
15th, I believe. I think it's June 15th. The one thing we can establish with Kanye, we were talking about this earlier, is when he departs from Twitter and then comes back, he normally is talking about products and services.
I mean, to be honest, I knew he was working on something when they caught him out there in Wyoming or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like,
definitely.
oh yeah, he cooking up right now.
Definitely. So I'm excited about that. Obviously because that's coming to fruition, but it's soon. It's I feel like culturally and hip hop wise, it's getting aggressive. Like things are getting really aggressive. Things are picking up. Yep. On top of that, I'm curious to see what a Kid Cudi and Kanye project sounds like. They've collaborated a million times. They've obviously had their past of issues. Yeah. And now them coming together as a collective to put together a body of work, it should be kind of lit.
And another thing too, if you think about the timing, like this project is coming after when Kid Cudi said that he was getting help. Yeah. And then definitely. I'm sure Kanye had to deal with the Kim Kardashian Paris thing and a bunch of other things, and maybe this is their therapeutic album.
And still, Kanye has yet to address everything that's happened with Hove.
Yeah,
that's still there.
Yeah.
That is still there.
So maybe this is like their therapeutic. I feel like when you go out into the mountains or wilderness or something, you're just trying to find peace, or you're trying to harness something. Yeah, you're trying to harness something. So maybe, like I said, maybe this may be their therapeutic album or post rehab, post help project where they may be addressing everything that they've gone through, obviously artistically, but I don't know. I'm excited for that one. And also, I'm excited for Teyana Taylor. I felt like her last project was completely underrated. They did not give enough. She don't enough. That project was fire.
I don't think people really realize how talented Teyana Taylor is. Forget her dancing. Forget she has an amazing body. Forget all of those things that are on the surface. Yeah. Even with her music being on the surface, I don't think enough people pay attention to how talented that girl is.
And she's a really nice person. Yes, she is. Designers manager Xana Ray introduced me to her when she had that new sneaker situation. And we went to, I forget what sneaker store, but it was up in Harlem. Mm-hmm. And like, I was able to meet her. She was talking to me. She was so kind. And of course, little Junie was there with her big cheeks and stuff. Yeah. And it's just like, for me, like anytime that I see someone who's talented, but also is still humble and like a human being, like I'm always going to root for them. And like I said, her album was slept on. Yeah, definitely. It was a fire project.
Her album, above all, outside of, obviously the other albums that I'm really excited about, hers, I think, is #1 on my priority list. Because I really, really want to see her go to the next level. I think she's super creative. To your point, I've met her on a few different occasions. Super, super nice girl. I really, really want to see her get to the next level, and I think she's now moving up a little bit. And
Kanye had to do right by her, because you remember that time where it was a little bit of a problem, and it's just kind of like she was one of the only artists for good music that wasn't really paying attention. I think it wasn't around like the time of like the designer thing, and so I'm happy now that like he is gonna hopefully do right by her now.
I think he will. He acknowledged that though. Yeah. In one interview, they asked him like, what if something you've done kind of wrong? He's like, I could have pushed her better. I could have. Yeah.
He should have pushed that project better.
Yeah, and I think it shows. I think Kanye's growth as far as that goes, because he's it takes a lot for you to admit such a monumental mistake like that. You know what I mean? When you drop the ball on an album that maybe you're hearing through the grapevine is an amazing album, and you were a part of it, and you didn't really do your due diligence to make sure that it was supposed to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, but you know what? When he acknowledged that, like, I don't. Like, you would think, like, of all people, Kanye, like, some people think he's so egotistical and all that stuff. I don't think, like, Kanye, he thinks highly of himself, and you should think highly of yourself, but he's also very self-aware. Like, I'm sure he knows his flaws. He knows what he does wrong and what he does right. So, like, I mean, shoot, if he's able to call out other people's shit, he better be able to call out himself. So, it's kind of like what we're saying, or what you said before about 6ix9ine. Like, Kanye is the I wouldn't say he's Joker, but he's the person that's misunderstood.
He's definitely misunderstood.
He's brilliant, but even brilliant people are misunderstood. It's kind of like when you have tech people trying to explain to regular people about APIs and how Facebook functions. They talk in a whole different language, and everyone's else like, what?
Kanye is definitely crazy. But like we've said on this show a million times over, we're crazy.
Super talented people are crazy.
Super talented people are crazy. You can't name me one. Yes, Britt, you're crazy.
Yes.
You can't name me one successful person that has not had a mental lapse, or has not gone through something traumatic, or had maybe a moment where they just went on some rant. A lot of times they internalize things, and they deal with things in their own way, and it just like anything, at some point you reach your breaking point, and I think Kanye may reach his breaking point more often than others, just because he internalizes so much. But at the end of the day, you can't take away what he brings to the culture. And now we're talking about two different cultures too. We're talking about music, and we're talking about fashion.
Yep.
amongst him, giving these release dates and building anticipation for that, he announced how many pair of Yeezys and how many new shoes that are coming out and flip flops and all these things.
Show the prototypes and all that.
So for somebody like that is clearly tapping into two different realms at the same time and trying to peak creatively, I'll give him a pass with having mental lapses or just feeling away or something happening.
But think
really
about
caring.
it. Think about it. Kanye, all his life, pretty much, well, at least career-wise, had to basically force himself into those industries. Remember when they were saying how labels, when he was like trying to be a rapper and they just didn't believe in him, and like there's even other artists that didn't believe he could be a rapper in a sense, and like he literally had to force himself into the industry and show that he can. Same thing with fashion, he had to force himself. So it's like he's constantly having to really like push himself into industries and push himself into positions that most people probably would doubt him.
I agree, and I think that's why he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
And that's also why it can cause loneliness too. Loneliness contributes to craziness. When you're great and people don't believe in you, that can be some of the loneliest points.
And especially after you've proven yourself time and time again,
and they're still doubting you.
And still doubting you.
Yep.
So I don't think that it's one of those times where he doesn't acknowledge it. I think it's one of the things where it's right dead smack in his face. And now when he walks into offices, you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it, and you're gonna know when you hear an interview. You're gonna know when he drops the album. You're gonna know exactly how he feels.
It's crazy. Like throughout his career, he's always been, at least initially, has always been David going against Goliath, and Goliath in a sense of like the industry, like the head industry. He was David going up against the major record labels where he wanted to be artists, and now he was David going up against Nike, which is one of the is the biggest sneaker brand company out there. And it's like he's constantly having to fight the Goliath in terms of being the industry. Not so much like fans and everyone knows his influence and everything, but like even still, like it's crazy, but like Kanye's situation is a how do you explain? It's symbolic in the sense of like Black men or Black people getting into certain industries and having ownership within those industries. And because fashion, like they did, sorry, I'm having a brain fart. They did our man, Dapper Dan. Yeah. They did him dirty. Like, and he was revolutionary. And I think what Kanye is doing, like he's basically saying like, no, like you guys are not going
He's not gonna let you do it.
He's not gonna let you do it. So he's paving the way, but also his David and Goliath story is very symbolic in a sense too. Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
I wonder what the concepts of these albums will be. I know that the artwork for his was released, very artsy as always, typical Kanye, and that's not in a bad way. I'm in full support of it. Yeah. I wonder what the concepts of Push's album will be. I know he's already confirmed that he's
straight lyrics. That's what it is.
I know Push already confirmed that he's still going to be talking about moving weight. I'm excited. Every time I listen to a Pusha T album, I really think that I'm a drug dealer, so I'm excited about that. And on top of it, I wonder what Kanye's we're going to get though. Yeah, that's my other thing. Because again, there's two different styles of Kanye's that could potentially happen. One, be it
808s.
The solo album could be in like another 808s, or it could be Life of Pablo. I don't know. And then I'm curious to hear what this Cudi and Ye album is gonna sound like. This is gonna be a great time, especially the lineups. You're looking at every month is something coming from good music.
Yeah. And then on top of that, Drake also drops in the summertime too.
Oh yeah, how we forget? Yeah,
so that's another one. So this summer may actually be a good summer for music.
It is gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit.
Listen, all we need is just Beyonce or Jay.
Word.
Just those two. Someone drop something.
Well, I wonder if Well, no, Beyonce. Well, yeah, Beyonce is kind of.
They have the tour, yeah.
Yeah, they have the tour and stuff like that. It could happen. I don't know, but I don't know. Not so much Hove. I could see Beyonce maybe. I wonder why Beyonce and Hove never drop EPs. You ever thought about that? They never do like 5-song, 6-song records. They never do that. They just drop full-on albums or motion pictures. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, because, I mean, they don't have to. And also, I mean, with Beyonce's path is interesting, too, because she was already on top with Destiny's Child. So when she went solo, it was kind of like she started at a higher point, and it was just about kind of what we talked about, proving yourself in that first and second album.
Yeah,
and she was able to prove herself in that first and second album. So it's like she never fell. She just went from here all the way up to there. She was already at a high position with Destiny's Child. So she was already, she didn't have to do all that stuff.
Yeah, they're definitely a powerhouse couple. I guess their goals is what everyone calls people these days. You got to be scary to kind of call people goals. You ever thought about that? Like when you say, hey, those are relationship goals. Them niggas don't be making it. Like, really think about it. They don't make it. Fab, Emily, fucking, who else was a goal? Everyone's always a goal. Amber in 21. People just are can't be so quick to call everyone a goal.
Beyonce and Hove, though, I think you can, because, I mean, aside from the infidelity and all that, I think what is goals about them is that they both individually have their own shit. They help each other out, though. And on top of that, they're private.
Yeah.
In the day of social media, people feel like they got to put all their relationship stuff out on social media. You don't.
Yeah.
It's okay. Getting a like is not going to make your relationship better. And actually, I think there's scientific proof or like a study where they said that like people who put their relationships out on social media actually means that their relationship isn't that great.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I never believe that shit when people post all these mushy pictures. 9 times out of 10, she probably caught him cheating 5 minutes ago, or vice versa. They're just trying to cover it up. I never really believe it.
And you gotta have that mysteriousness. Like, I don't be posting you. People always ask, "Are you in a relationship?" You're never gonna know unless you ask someone I know personally, like really close with, or you just randomly find out. Aside from that, you're never gonna know because I'm just gonna be like, maybe so, maybe not.
That's messy. Speaking of messy, though.
Cleanup time in aisle 3.
In aisle 3. Paula Patton gets the Ghostwriting Award of the Year.
Bam.
She been writing Robin Thicke's Fire all this time, man.
Under the name Max Haddington.
That's crazy.
Yo, that name itself, Max Haddington.
I wonder if he gave her that name, because that's very porno-ish. And I know he's into some other shit. So I'm just trying to connect the dots here. This could be a theory. I'm really trying to figure out where that name comes. Who thinks of that?
Honestly, Max Haddington, they probably created that name because it does not sound like a black man's name. No offense, or a black person's name. So they probably would never have put 2 and 2 together. They're probably like, oh, it's just, you know, some white person. I feel like they did it on purpose because if they said something like, you know, how people, they'll be like evaluating, be like, okay, his name is Jerome. There's no Jerome.
Yeah.
Wait, Jerome's a black man's name. Wait, wife is black. Oh, wait, that's her. Or some crazy theory and stuff. But I think that's probably what he did. He probably picked a name that will be least likely connected to her, like ethnicity-wise and everything else that you wouldn't expect her to be.
Yeah, but I mean, she goes on to say that she was Max Haddington. You know, she was writing records with him. She didn't want that stigmatism of being the wife, you know, writing, you know, your girls writing your records. So they came up with this theory, which is, I respect that. You know, I know you obviously want your husband to be the husband and get all the credit that he's due, but now I want to hear some bars from her. I need to know where her pen game is at. She's out here writing fire. Who knew? I never even knew that she was talented. I never even know she wrote. So this is news to me.
Big question is, did she write blurred lines?
Well, no, because didn't they get sued for that shit?
Well, yeah, because of sampling.
Yeah, because of sampling, right?
But, I mean, you don't... That's a good question. I don't think writers get sued. It's whoever.
Yeah, Chris, check that. We have hey guys, we have an intern now too. So like, I'm happy about that because we can just say things like, "Get us coffee," or "Check that," or "Shut up, Chris," when he's not saying anything. He's a really nice guy. So, but I do want to know that. I can't remember what the issue was that he that the lawsuit was.
It was sampling Marvin Gaye. Yeah.
What was it?
Marvin Gaye sample.
Marvin Gaye sample. Family One. Yeah. But in those lawsuits, the writers, I mean, I'm asking because I don't know in this aspect. Yeah, the writers don't get sued for that.
No,
it's the producer and the artist itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's still my question. Did she write those lyrics? Because even though like that was still a controversial song a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering like, did she drop them bars there?
There was a few songs that I had found. I'm gonna send them to the group chat that I knew that she wrote on. Well, I knew after obviously this interview that she wrote on. But now I want to go do some research and see if she did write or if she's on the credits for that record because that would be crazy.
Yeah, seeing Max Haddington.
Yeah. Shout out to her, man.
You know what?
Do we like the blonde hair? I know it's an off topic. Do we like the blonde hair on her?
Kind of fits her.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And she got the shortcut. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
It works. It's a little classy. Yeah, but like also she's very, very, very classy because weren't they going through a split or something, or they are split or something like that?
Split. They're split.
Yo, she kept that in the tuck for a very long time. She could have just dropped that when everything was going crazy.
Yeah, like you gotta kind of like, how do you handle that? Like if you're going through a divorce like they were, and she just drops a bomb like, "Nigga, you was fondling women. I was writing your bars." Like, ugh, Jesus.
Well, I was up in the studio writing.
Word.
You were creating them blurred lines with those tricks.
You wasn't shooting in the gym. That's crazy. That's taking a man's soul when you're an artist, when you can hold that type of power over someone.
And that's also major foul. Your girl is helping your career, writing some of your lyrics, and I don't know which ones because it could be some of his bigger songs that she's contributing to. And you gonna just be acting crazy out here?
It's the life, man. You get caught up into the life.
Nah, but then watch. It always happens. They get caught up in the life. The one that they want goes and leaves them, and then they are going to regret that. And it's just like, you could have prevented that.
Yeah.
Just don't have them blurred lines.
Well, it seems like he's happy. That was good. That was good.
But
that was good. Here all week, folks.
Here all week. Catch me every Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Fucking damn! I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, we can just skip on to the next topic with J.Cole.
J.Cole. Have you heard the album? I heard
yes.
A lot of mixed reviews about it. I heard it was very J.Cole-esque. I know that it's very, he dropped the album on 420, but it's very anti-420 and drug usage.
Yeah.
I heard the album on the way over here. I actually liked the project. I was like 5 records in.
Yeah.
I like it so far. To me, I'm definitely hearing a different Cole, with the exception of the singing.
Yeah.
So, but outside of that, I like it. He's flowing. I like it. I don't really have a bad critique until I get to the rest of the album. I'm cool.
He's also, people have to also realize, like, he's in his 30s. Like, he's grown. Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be different topics and conversations. And I also think the one thing I really liked about the project, I forget which song exactly, but I know he talked about, it was kind of like in a sense, it was like a musical letter to those pill rappers out there.
Yeah.
But then he also utilized in another song. He utilized drugs in terms as drugs and addiction as a like metaphor for some previous infidelity things.
Yeah.
That he's bringing it up. So I liked how obviously the concept was around drugs, but he utilized drugs in metaphorical ways that described other situations and other things that were happening. I, with this, and also like J.Cole is a true artist too, because was it who there was a quote unquote pill rapper that was beefing with him.
Who's ever beef with Cole?
Lil Pump. There you go.
Look at the intern.
Hey!
Go Chris. Word. That's our new shit.
But yeah, they're saying that he, instead of addressing him via social media, he's addressing in his music, which is what artists should do.
Yeah, you should. I respect that.
Twitter fingers out here.
I think Cole is now transcending. He's becoming very mysterious and very I can't think of the word, but
he don't give a shit about being mainstream. That's what I think. Like, but, he's, but
because of that, I think it's elevating him. Like the way he carries himself, like the way he's dropping projects, the way he's maneuvering.
Yeah.
Did the pop-up show. Like he's just trying. It's almost like us as we do this show, how we just come and create. Yeah. I feel like he's just doing that.
He was just walking through the city with DJ Self too.
Yeah, like
he was walking through the city with DJ Self.
Yeah, like just randomly walking.
Look at that.
To the next destination.
Yeah, shit like that you don't see from someone of his stature.
Yeah,
and he's doing that more and more. And for me personally, I just think that it's drawing me in more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like I love artists that have that mystique. Like Prince had that mystique. MJ, Whitney, they all had this allure about them that was very mysterious and kept you wanting to know more about them. Yeah. And he does a great job of that. M does a great job of that. I mean, even though he's been trolling a lot as of late with his Instagram posts, I think it's hilarious. But he does a really, really good job of that. And I think as he, grows as an artist, I'm curious to see, strategically what he plans on doing as far as inserting himself more and more into the conversations of the best rappers of all time.
Well, another thing too is like, you're on a whole different level when you literally can just drop a show or drop a project and that it just does numbers.
Yeah.
Like very few people can do that. I think I mentioned that before. Like Beyonce can do it, Jay can do it, probably Rihanna can do it. Kanye.
There's a few people.
Only very few people. So we already know he's kind of like in that realm where it's just very limited promo and everyone's like, waiting for what's in store. I also think that like J. Cole is in a place where, you can even say he's been in this place. I mean, obviously he understands that you got to have those like strategic mainstream songs, but now he's in a position where he's like, I'm going to put out the messages that I want to put out. You either love it or you hate it. Yeah. I'm not out here to win mainstream love in this. Like, I think this is a conversation that needs to be addressed or a message that needs to be put out. Definitely. And I'm going to put it out whether you like it or not. Yeah. And, but with that too, like, it's funny. I was seeing on social media, like, people are hating on J. Cole and trolling, and I'm like, yo, like it's like haters were talking more about J. Cole than his fans were talking about him. Yeah. And I just thought that was really funny. And it's just kind of like, I'm sure they're hating because they were like, oh, this was too deep, or this wasn't there. You didn't have any like, dance songs and shit like that. But J. Cole does not care about that.
The one critique I will say that, and this has always been my critique for him, is that personality-wise, J. Cole is very boring. He doesn't give you a lot. So when fans often, especially in this day and age, they like artists to have a little bit more personality and things of that nature. So I get those critiques. But as far as his pen game goes and his lyrical ability in creating just phenomenal records, you can't really take that from him. You can't. There's nothing you can say. You can say he's boring. He's not a good interview. You can say he doesn't walk around like the typical artist. I don't think that at this point. I don't think that's his brand. I don't think that he even cares to even be associated with the typical artist of today.
To be honest, I wouldn't even call J. Cole boring. He's just down to earth. Like, J. Cole is definitely that dude who's like at a party off in the corner, mad chill, mad quiet, but you know he can bag all those women in that room. Yeah. Like, it's just like, it kind of goes back to self-awareness and self-confidence. When you know who you are, you don't, and you're comfortable with who you are, you don't have to prove anything. Like, you don't have to make yourself appear more exciting than what people think. And I just think that, like, I don't know. I think the quiet, the boring, kind of like the mysteriousness, like, you never know what he's going to want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? So I think that kind of helps. Question. Kendrick Lamar got a Pulitzer Prize. Mm-hmm. Do you think J. Cole is going to one day get a Pulitzer Prize for his project?
Yeah, I think anything is possible at this point. You figure Dave Chappelle got a Grammy, right? Was it Dave Chappelle? I think it was some. What did Dave Chappelle get a Grammy for or something? I think it was a Grammy. Chris, look that up.
Kobe Bryant got an Oscar.
Kobe got an Oscar. Kendrick got a Pulitzer. Best comedy album. That's so he did. He got a Grammy for that, right? So, and then you have Hove getting a Peabody Award. At this point, I think the floodgates are open. It is. I think anything is possible for artists at this point. And I think corporations and foundations that like the Pulitzers and all this shit, they're starting to take precedent.
Hip hop's becoming more respected.
Yeah.
In other industries and avenues. It is being respected way more, because if you think about it, even 5 years ago, there wouldn't be artists having some of these awards and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think people are starting to understand, like, oh wow, hip hop is really about the arts. Yeah. It's not this trend or pill-ridden or thuggin' music or whatever crazy stuff they say.
Hip-hop is grown. Hip-hop is really, really grown. Like, think about it. You thought, growing up, it was always ignorance. It was gang-related.
They thought it's just a trend.
Yeah, it was trends. It was a whole bunch of things. And you have Kendrick winning a fucking Pulitzer. Like, that's crazy. A lot of things that are happening to artists now, I don't think that they could have even, at least me, I would have never envisioned stuff like this happening. You know what I mean? Like, especially even with Hove, with the Peabody, and then him getting the Writers Award. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening more frequently than what they were in the past. Yeah. That is showing you that hip hop is growing as a culture.
Well, also another thing too, we're in a period of time where you can't ignore hip hop. Hip hop is not just isolated within music anymore. It's within sports. It's within politics. Like, we're seeing artists, like, at the core, hip hop was about expressing yourself, arts, and also social issues. Yeah. And it's like now it's really coming back, because it kind of went from that to then, like, it went to the quote unquote the gangsta era. Yeah. And telling that story, and then now it's becoming more of the I wouldn't even say socially aware, but I would say more socially vocal.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, artists, especially hip-hop artists, are getting so much involved. They're giving back to the communities, giving scholarships and to HBCUs and this and that. Like, they are becoming more than their music. And I think that's why you can't ignore hip-hop right now. Hip-hop is ingrained in almost every aspect. You saw freaking Bernie Sanders tweeting about what Cardi B talked about when it came to taxes and stuff. Like, Bernie Sanders tweeting about Cardi B, like, and she's not even, in some people's eyes, she's not even like the leading person when it comes to talking about politics. But even the fact that she talked about that and was aware of those things,
her voice mattered. Her voice matters.
Hip hop artists' voices are mattering beyond just their music.
Definitely. I just think that while we have the torch, I would just like that more artists take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Like, bring more awareness to certain things that are happening, and speak up for injustices. I like that that's happening.
Yeah.
I like that, you're talking about sexualities, you talk about racism, you talk about, feminism, you talk about all those things.
Yeah.
I like that artists are doing that, and I hope that continues. I really hope that it's not a fad or a trend that people are just following for publicity or for marketing purposes. I really hope that sustains itself.
Yeah, and I don't think that just saying, "Oh, I made a song about drugs and I want to bring, awareness to drugs by making a song about drugs," that's not enough.
Yeah, no.
And I don't think that's substantial. And also telling people, I don't not that I'm knocking these artists, but like going on social media and saying that you're never going to use Xan again, that's good for you, but that's not enough.
Yeah,
that's really not enough. And you know your influence. You know you're influencing these kids.
Yeah.
You know the things that you're saying, and especially I forget who said this, but it was talking about how when you're an artist, obviously you're influencing the urban community and the culture, but then there are people like white kids that are looking at hip hop and thinks that those certain things like using drugs is hip hop is black culture, and they want to epitomize black culture in hip hop because it's cool. Mm-hmm. So when you are always talking about drugs and doing drugs, they think that, so that's how it is to be black. Yeah. So, or to be cool. Being black is basically being cool now. Yeah. That's what it is. So that's I just wish there was younger artists. The older ones get it. And obviously it comes with maturity, but I really want to see some of the younger artists take into consideration this drug issues. We're losing artists to drugs and all this stuff.
So, I mean, hopefully, things change. I really hope that this type of great shit that keeps happening. And I know this is one of the rare moments in hip hop where we get these string of just amazing things happening. Mm-hmm. So I'm really happy to be here for it.
Question for you. Do you think that we will ever have a president that is a former hip hop artist?
I could see Will Smith being president. I could 100% see Will Smith being president, and I would endorse him.
Why so?
Because I think he has a perspective on life that I think the office needs at this point. You need people like a Will Smith or who else could I see? Right now, the only person I can think right now is Will Smith. But you need somebody like that has traveled the world and experienced so many things and has I could see him mending a lot of broken relationships with foreign countries and probably fixing a lot of foreign policies just off of his experiences and just based off of his know-how and being able to engage with people. Will Smith, to me, is one of those people that probably has, and I've never met him, but he just seems like someone that has a certain energy about them that you instantly would connect with him. And I think that he would probably be able to connect with a lot of Americans and be able to solve a lot of problems just based off his philosophy, and then also bestowing that philosophy onto other foreign countries and probably just fixing a world of different issues.
Well, and I think he also be selected because he is not a black man that dealt with drugs.
Yeah.
They're never going to allow. If you have, it's crazy how there's politicians that have drug addictions, pedophilia, all that. But if you are a black man or if you're a minority, it's you can't have those stuff.
Well, that was the big thing with Barack. Barack, they found out that he smoked weed, and he was like, yeah, so fuck what? Who cares?
Chill out. You should have some too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's actually a really good point. Damn, who would your pick be? That's a good question.
To be a president? Mm-hmm. Oh, man, now I'm going through all these rappers in my head. Well, I don't know about president, but in terms of artists, I could see Beyonce dealing with international affairs. More so of dealing with hunger and all that stuff. I could see her dealing that. Women empowerment, all that stuff. In terms of president, I'm trying to think about a rapper who doesn't have, because you can't have things on your record and you can't have any affiliations with gangs or drugs or anything like that, which is, I mean, Will Smith would definitely be a really good one, but I can't really think of anyone else. I'm trying to think of.
I'm trying to think too. I don't know of anybody else that makes sense.
Well, for whoever that rapper is that to be president, I would love to see someone like Rhapsody for vice president.
Rhapsody? That's a good pick.
Yeah, I just think that like with her, obviously, like she understands the culture. She's artist. She's lyrical. She also knows how to compete. Knows how to work with other male counterparts, which is very important for working in politics. And I also like she speaks the truth, but she speaks it in a way where it doesn't come off as like to the point where people won't listen. It'll be super aggressive. Yeah. Like I've spoken to her many times, and she talked about being a woman and people telling her to dress a certain way and stuff. But just like the way that she went about discussing it was just like it wasn't like a situation where like someone would just, how people like to argue for no reason. I think when she talks, you actually listen, and she says it in a way where it's calming, so you won't like take it a certain way. Yeah. But I think she would dope. Yeah, that would be cool. Will Smith, Rhapsody.
That's a dope Nova office. That's a hip hop office.
Hey, yo, could you imagine the president painting? That would be fire.
We get all that other shit out of there. We thug that right on out. Got to. I think that'd be fire. So
that'd be really dope. For listeners, tell us who you think would be a dope artist who would be for be a president. Good president.
I'm curious. Reach out to us. Let us know in the comments who your pick would be. Even if let's add in actors too, because to your point, right, the scale of rappers to choose from is very difficult rather. So let's add in maybe some actors. Who would you pick? And then we'll reply back to you guys. As always, thank you guys for joining us. Check us out on Grassroots Pod for Instagram, Twitter. We're on YouTube. You can check us out there. Our GroupMe chat is still popping and growing as ever. Want to shout out all those guys. And that link, if you want to join, it's a free link that's going to be at the description of this video. Yep. And as always, be kind. Rewind. That's what they used to say in Blockbuster. That's what they used to say.
Be kind, rewind.
Word. And that's it. I'm Brandon Killabh.
I'm Erin Ashley Simon.
And we out.